and welcome to my little bookish corner of the internet. My name is Harriet. Today I'm going to be doing a spoiler-free review of Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones, and I'm also going to be comparing it to the Studio Ghibli adaptation, which goes by the same name. So let's get into it. Basically, the premise of Howl's Moving Castle is that we are following a young girl called Sophie, and she is the eldest of 3 siblings, and she is a hatter. So she makes hats in this little town that she lives in. And this place that we are within in the story has a lot of magic and wizardry and loads of whimsical different things that are going on. But one day, while Sophie is just kind of minding her own business, the Witch of the Waste comes in and curses her. Now, I won't say why, because you find that out during the story, but essentially what happens is Sophie is turned into an old woman. So she still has the mind and heart of a young woman, but she looks like an elderly woman. And it's basically her trying to go and break this curse and meeting different characters along the way. It is very unusual and very whimsical and strange. It is a children's novel, so it's filled with loads of fantasy and magic, which you can kind of tell from the front cover. It's a little bit crazy, there's loads of stuff going on, but basically when Sophie goes on this journey, she gets the attention of Howl. And Howl is a very strange and unusual character, and lots of people say loads of negative things about him. But it's basically Sophie and him and how they interact with each other and what happens after that. I cannot say much more apart from that Howl is a wizard. We'll leave it at that. Now, this book I read very quickly. I read it a little while ago, so I can't honestly remember exactly how I rated it before, but I can give you a rating at the end of what I think now that it's been a little while. But the book itself is following it from the point of view of Sophie mainly, and I found Sophie to be kind of insufferable. She is very stubborn and very strong-hearted, but in a way that kind of annoyed me a little bit, which is a shame because there are so many more characters in here that I loved. So we've got Calcifer, who is a fire demon. We've also got Michael, who is a young lad that works with Howl, and I really liked Howl as well. I thought he was a very interesting character and very unusual. Again, really stubborn, but in a different way to Sophie. And I don't know why I didn't enjoy Sophie's point of view, but it did put a downer on the book for me, which is kind of disappointing. But there is a lot of character development within the book and loads of different characters that you get to meet. They're all really well realised as well, which is awesome. I really appreciate that. And this edition does have little illustrations at the start of each chapter as well, which was cool. But yeah, it's basically just very adventurous and magical and just a lot of fun. I personally, now that I'm looking at it, would rate it maybe a 3.5. I don't know if I rated it a 3 or a 4, but I would say 3.5 because I would reread it, but it's not the best book I've ever read, and if I don't get to reread it, I'll be fine with that. So now let's talk about the film. I love Howl's Moving Castle by Studio Ghibli. It is one of my favourite animated films. I think it is just so fun and so strange. And I said this before in my Kiki's delivery service video, I just find that the voice acting, at least in the English dub version, is just spot on. It's so spectacular and it really brings the characters to life. The animation is always really stunning, really, really beautiful. And it's just so weird. I feel like the movie is actually weirder than the book itself, but I think that's what gave it its charm because it was so unusual and so unlike anything I'd ever seen before. It was one of the first Ghibli films that I ever saw. And that and Spirited Away, which I feel like is the one that most people have seen. But yeah, because it was just so fun and so engaging and so beautiful to look at, I do personally prefer the film to the book. I'm so sorry. But there is only one film, and I do know there are more of these books. I think it's a trilogy. I think there's 2 more books. I don't know if I'll ever pick them up, to be perfectly honest. But they do follow different characters, so maybe I would prefer them. But yeah, please don't think that I'm saying this is a bad book, because it really isn't, and you might be able to get past Sophie's personality, but just personally for me, it put a bit of a downer on everything and made it kind of hard to read. But I did really love most of the other characters. So yeah, that is my very short little review of Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. Let me know down below if you've read this, what you thought of it, and if you've seen the film. And I will be putting this in a playlist of Studio Ghibli books versus films videos, so I will leave that down below so you can check that out. I've only got one more on there at the moment, which is the Kiki's delivery service video. You can definitely check that out if you want to. But yeah, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!